Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to today's program. We're so glad to have each and every one of you. We understand that we're picking up new cable companies and new satellite viewers each week, and we really do appreciate everyone being with us. You know, our Shootin' Show is in its 5th year of broadcasting, and it seems like from the phone calls and from the letters and faxes we get that we're more than just a television program. We're like an extended family for so many of you, and we really do appreciate that. We had a very sad thing happen a few days ago. Our associate producer, Kurt Vickers, whom some of you have seen in past programs doing machine gun parts and doing things in Las Vegas, one of the best friends certainly I've ever had, was tragically killed in a house fire. And we're terribly saddened by this, but certainly Kurt would want us to go on and have the best program that we can. He will be missed greatly, and we're going to have a tribute to him later on in the program today. So without further ado, let's continue with today's Shootin' Show. Well, friends, you keep hearing us talk about Corbon ammunition. Well, this is a little Model 60 38 Special from Smith & Wesson. We have our chronograph set up here, so let's look at what a standard velocity 38 Special 158 grain bullet does out of this little Model 60. Okay, 639 feet per second. Now then, friends, 639 feet per second out of this tiny gun is probably going to be an average velocity. Well, let's see what the Corbon 110 grain plus P load does, jacketed hollow point. Okay, how about 1,123 feet per second, even out of this little tiny gun? Now, friends, we do want to caution you, Corbon plus P loads, as any other plus P load, should only be shot in a gun rated for plus P and 38 Special. These Model 60s are certainly rated for plus P ammunition. You would not want to shoot any high performance ammunition a lot in these little guns because they will loosen up under the more severe loads, but certainly to carry a load that may actually save your life or someone in your family's life, I tell you what, Corbon is as good as it gets. Well, friends, you know, a gun that you haven't seen that much on the Shootin' Show is guns by Rossi, in fact, made down in South America. Now, what we're looking at here is an older model Rossi in 38 Special. Watch this. I tell you what, it may be an older gun, but this Rossi in 38 Special 5-shooter, very similar in design from outward appearances to the Smith & Wesson small frame 38 Specials. Let me tell you what, you just saw it. It shoots and functions real well. And that brings us around to one of the neatest new guns that I have encountered. And this is a Rossi Model 720. And this is all stainless steel. It is in 44 Special. It's a 5-shooter, but it's 44 Special. Friends, yes, it's a little steamy down here today on the range. We are here in Louisiana, and someone came down to demonstrate a new product to us a couple of days ago, and it was about heat index about 105 and about 98% humidity, and they were complaining about how hot it was, and heck, we thought we were having a coup front. Anyway, moving right along. The 44 Special is a cartridge we've been talking about on some recent programs, and personally I think it is a terribly neglected cartridge. Now, one of the problems is that there haven't been that many guns out there that would fire the 44 Special. Heck, if you had a 44 Magnum, which will certainly shoot, it'll accept the 44 Special. Well, most of the time people went on and just shot the Magnum cartridge. Well, the 44 Special, as we've seen recently, is a very fine defensive cartridge, again with a proper load. And let me say that Corbon's come to the rescue on that. And this is not a Corbon program as far as the whole show is not dedicated to Corbon, but we're trying to help you. We're trying to give you the best information we can. And Corbon has a 44 Special load that really turns it in to a powerful yet controllable loading for your gun. Now what happens, the Corbine loads a 180 grain bullet at about 1,000 feet per second, which is going to essentially duplicate the best 180 grain load in the new 40 Smith & Wesson, the semi-automatic pistol cartridge. So it also duplicates the 10 millimeter light. Again, both of those are in very high esteem now as defensive type and all-around cartridges for semi-automatic pistols. Well, hey, how about a mid-size 5-shot revolver? And let me say this about revolvers. There's some people out there who do not think that revolvers are still the best defensive handguns or the best all-around handguns. Well, I'm one of those people that disagrees with that, because for the average person who is not going to spend hours and hours on the range learning to clear a malfunction in a semi-automatic, and as much as I like a 1911, yes, I carry one sometimes, and there's some very fine semi-automatics out there, they all will malfunction. The revolvers are much simpler. One, you can open the cylinder, you can see whether or not the gun is loaded. They're just a simpler mechanism for the average person to deal with. And if even those of us that do spend a good bit of time shooting and trying to get better at learning to shoot any sort of firearm, the revolver is still a good choice. There are a lot of people out there who are not comfortable with a semi-automatic that would like a mid-sized gun like this Rossi, but they still want the bigger bullet. They want the performance of the heavier bullet. Well, this is one little gun that we can recommend very highly. Now, this is the second one of these that I have had the opportunity to shoot. And no, we didn't get this from Inner Arms. They do import these guns from Brazil. We got this from Britain's, and this is strictly off the shelf. So this is representative, I think, of the guns that are being sent out to gun shops around the country. This little gun shoots extremely well. It has good velocities for its 3-inch barrel. And if you'll notice, even with this large 44 Special bullet, albeit bullet's not moving that fast in the standard factory loading, from this is Remington we have in the gun right here, just watch recoil in my hands today. See, just very, very little recoil, not a lot of noise, very mild load. So you can shoot the gun rapidly and accurately. Now this is a double action only. It does not have a hammer. We'll take a closer look in just a second, but I tell you what, friends, I was impressed with this older model Rossi that came through here a few days ago. This is workmanship's good, trigger's a little hard, but hey, the gun's serviceable. Rossis are not guns that I have personally owned in the past, but I tell you what, I think they deserve a second look by a lot of us who are really enthusiasts. One, the package is so nice. It's slick. If you're trying to get the gun out of a concealed position, there's nothing to snag back here. You can take even this little Model 60 with an exposed hammer. I've done it, tried to pull one of these things out in a hurry and snagged it on my pocket or snagged it on some other piece of clothing, and that is something to be thought about. And this slick back here means you can draw the gun from concealment, get it out of your clothes or out of your purse or wherever else you may need to carry it without having it snagged, because believe me, friends, to get your gun stuck at a time when you needed it really bad, that's something you don't want to happen to you. The 44 Special is a good choice for someone who may want the greater power level, say more power than a 350, than a 38 Special, but they don't want the noise and recoil of a full charge 357 Magnum. And again, you can learn to shoot this gun with the standard or lower powered factory loadings, and then when you want to carry it, or say you want to have it as a backup gun to your rifle on a hunt, something like that, just put Corbine in it and forget about it, because then you're going to have much more power. Well, let's take a look at that close. My friends, you can tell our Rossi 720 is very nicely made. It again, see the hammer is missing the spur there. Of course, it's double action only. It does not have a full cock notch on the hammer there, so it's going to be fired only by pulling the trigger. You can't thumb cock it. But I don't see that as a problem at all for this, for the purposes this gun was intended for, to be a hideout gun or a very carryable gun, one that is not going to snag when you're getting you're getting it out of its holster. It is a little bigger, of course. This is a J-frame Smith & Wesson a lot of us are familiar with, and it's more along the lines of a K-frame, sort of a mid-sized frame gun. But remember, for someone who doesn't want the blast from a 357 Magnum, but they want more power than is commonly available in 38 Special, this is really a good option. Remember, it is a 5-shooter. The speed loaders for the Charter Arms Bulldog fit this gun, so there are already speed loaders out there. Well, let's do some shooting with it. I'll remind you, it works identically to what we're used to with a Smith & Wesson. The cylinder rotates the same direction. It has a coil spring rather than a leaf spring here, but even has a pin barrel like Smith & Wessons used to have. Of course, you have an underlug here on the barrel, which helps to dampen recoil. Let's take some shots with it and see what it looks like. Okay, friends, let's go up and take a look at our group. Now see, I told you the little gun would shoot. That's an 1.5-inch group. Of course, all of them in our bullseye there. I tell you what, friends, this little Rossi, if all their guns are as good as this gun appears to be, I tell you what, we all need to take a look at them. Friends, in fact, our Rossi is just about the same size as our 45-16 Smith & Wesson. So it's the size of a compact semi-automatic, a little wider through the cylinder, but for most of us that's not going to be a problem. Like I said earlier, I'm impressed. I've asked people all over the country what they know about Rossis, and because honestly I just haven't had that much experience with them. But like I said, I'm impressed. I think that if you're looking for a good solid handgun, and the good news is they're less expensive. Those folks in Brazil definitely know how to make a good handgun. You know, the fine Taurus guns also come from Brazil. And from what we're seeing on the Rossi products, they look really good across the board. Yes.
Don't go away. The Shootin' Show will be right back after these very important messages. More and more often, women are faced with protecting themselves and their homes. But another way of protection is through information. And we at the Shootin' Show believe that the new American magazine has the best information that you can possibly get.
You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on. And in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, I'm standing here with a young man, Kent Halsell, and we're going to show you something so neat because he's brought Halsell Microsystems briefcase boat. Now that may not sound, you may not think you heard me just right, but this is such a great idea. Kent, essentially what you're saying, now we have a pickup today, but if you've got a car with a trunk, you can literally have your boat with you all the time. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Well, friends, watch this.
one finger. There's no tools required to assemble the boat. How's this?
Ken, I tell you what, I saw you put this thing together. It must have taken all of a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And that's pretty amazing. One of the great things, because we've seen people coming in out here with boats. We just walked up to the water and put your boat in. You were talking earlier, a lot of people have apartments, they have places they don't have a spot they can keep a full-size boat. They still like to fish, they like to go duck hunting. I mean, what all can you use this thing for?
Well, any small stream, lakes, ponds, literally anywhere you can fish, this is ideal for. It'll fit in the trunk of most cars, in the back of a pickup. It's very light.
And one person can handle it easily.
Yes, sir. And when you get through, you merely open your door, pull it right in your house or apartment.
And nobody's going to go home with it that night except yourself.
And I have known several fishermen that love to fish. They keep one in their car at all times. When they pass a body of water or a pond, they can always pull off and they're instantly fishing. And there are millions of people that would love to have one of these.
Well, I personally think this is a great idea. Well, you're going to demonstrate this for us, right?
A little bit, yes, sir. For a duck hunter, we have a full cover accessory that camouflage you and your gun and so forth. And you're out of the cold water. It's just a wonderful little boat.
Friends, the briefcase boat is only $495 plus shipping and handling. Give Bobby or Al a call for information on the briefcase boat. That number is 1-800-728-8486. Again, 1-800-SAVE-YOUR-GUN, 728-8486. Well, friends, we certainly appreciate everyone being with us here today. The judge has, well, you've got several things that you need to talk to us about, don't you, sir?
Probably not as much as usual, Johnny, although the intensity is still there. I'm interested. I got faxes from both the NRA and the Gun Owners of America on Friday evening or Saturday morning. I don't know which they sent it. The Senate has passed the anti-terrorism legislation, Senate Bill 735. And it's interesting the way the two organizations look at it. NRA says they passed it without any restrictive gun control provisions. Gun Owners of America says that there were some anti-gun owners provisions in that bill, that the amendments that were adopted included, one, an amendment to increase Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms budget by $100 million through the year 2000. That's $100 million a year for that's $20 million a year for 5 years. Second, an amendment to extend the statute of limitations for violation under the 1934 Act from 3 years to 5 years. Third, an amendment to expand the ability of the military to enforce civilian law, and that one really bothers me. Completely contrary to everything the founders believed in, and contrary to everything I believe in. And an amendment to allow the government to wiretap your home if a person subject to a wiretap order visits your home. Now, how the hell are you supposed to know, excuse me, pardon my French, how the heck are you supposed to know that somebody that visits your home is subject to a wiretap order? That's a horrible invasion of privacy, and I don't like that at all. Now, Senator Dole engineered a unanimous consent agreement which set the terms of debate on Senate Bill 735. It allowed the potential for many anti-gun amendments to be considered without a corresponding volley of pro-gun amendments to put the other side on the defensive. Once the agreement was in place, Gun Owners of America says that we were in a position of showing up to a gunfight with a knife. gun owners were truly lucky to have escaped with only a few infringements on our rights. Well, Gun Owners of America put out a fax alert, and that fax alert apparently convinced Senator Dole to do some things differently. I'm concerned about Dole. He's weak on this subject. He has to be pushed every time. They say, GOA says, right after our alert hit on Wednesday, you guys shut down Senator Dole's phone lines. The Dole's staff is contending that Gun Owners of America is putting the heat just on him. That's not true. They're putting it on a lot of people. But after all, Dole is a majority leader in the Senate and does set the order of business. And if he wants to do it, he could keep the whole thing coming up. Then some of Dole's staff were saying, well, Dole allowed all those amendments was a strategy to defeat the bill. Well, it was his bill, so why did he want to defeat it? That creates confusion. And then Dole's office says, well, he didn't engineer. He didn't broker a unanimous consent agreement. Well, listen to this now. This is from the congressional record by Mr. Dole. I asked unanimous consent that the following amendments be the only first-degree amendments in order, and that the amendments be limited to the following time agreements where designated to be equally divided in the usual form. The presiding officer, is there objection to the majority leader's request? Without objection, it's so ordered. That makes it a unanimous consent. At this point in the debate, the Senate had agreed to do two things: to decide which amendments could be offered, and two, to limit the number of amendments. And what followed in the congressional record was a list of 60-plus amendments which would be allowed. Many of them would have stripped the Second Amendment to its bare bones. The unanimous consent agreement to which Dole brokered states the following: no assault weapon amendments shall be in order to Senate Bill 735. So it not only excluded pro-gun amendments from being offered, it specifically prohibited any attempt to repeal the semi-auto ban. Now, you know, that's the strategy that the other side uses. They put things on bills that have to pass that they want, and I don't see any reason why on this anti-terrorism bill that we shouldn't tack on some of our pro-gun items, such as repealing the assault weapons ban. That would put Clinton in the position, if he sticks by his word, of vetoing what he's pushing the Senate to give. Those of you who are willing to do so, you might try calling Senator Dole's office and raise Cain. I did. And do it with your own senators. Now, I got an answer from my two senators today. I'm kind of amused that you can write a letter and say nothing, and that's what they did. The anti-terrorism bill now passed the Senate and will go to the House as H.R. 1710, introduced by Henry Hyde. GOA says they haven't yet fully analyzed it, but they will, and will keep us abreast.
Well, do you think Newt Gingrich is going to work with us over on the House side?
I would hope so. I would hope so, but I can't be sure of what anybody in Congress does. Oh, there are a few people that I can pretty much count on, for sure. But this business of using the military to enforce civilian laws is a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. Of course, this would amend it, and I think that's frightfully dangerous, particularly when 24% of the Marines at the base where the questionnaire was passed out said they would fire on American citizens if ordered to, in order to confiscate their arms. You know, Johnny, that gets to an interesting subject. Some people say, well, that we've got the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms in order to preserve the right of revolution. That's not what it's in there for. It's to prevent the government from becoming tyrannical. It's just like the presence of nuclear weapons prevented a nuclear war.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The fact that American citizens are armed would cause any would-be dictator to be very careful about what he did. That's the first thing that Hitler did. He disarmed the German citizens. It's the first thing that all tyrants do, is to take weapons out of the hands of the citizens.
You know, friends, this box of Corbin ammunition and this Wesson 41 Magnum are in fact a perfect match for each other. But it doesn't matter whatever gun you may have, like this SKS or a hunting rifle or a 38 Special or a 9mm, makes no difference, because Corbin is absolutely the best factory ammunition that money can buy, period. And also, friends, when you see a box of Corbin on the shelf or you give them a call, realize that Corbin is helping keep the shooting show on the air. They've been one of our most dedicated sponsors. You cannot find finer people in the entire shooting industry. For information on Corbin ammunition, call them 1-800-626-7266. Again, 1-800-626-7266. Tell them you saw it on the Shooting Show. Well, Jerry, how you like that M1A?
That sucker, get it, won't it?
Here, I'll take it for you. Go ahead, put your safety on.
All right.
Yeah, these are good guns for, well, this is, I will remind everyone, this is not an assault rifle. This is a semi-automatic 308 rifle. And of course that technology has been around, as we've often said, over 100 years. But these are really fine guns. Folks at Springfield have loaned us this gun to use on our program, and I'll tell you, it's one of my favorites. Well, speaking of favorites, and let me get my shooting glasses off. In fact, Jerry, of course, folks, you'll recognize Jerry Rowland here from the program last week. And we've had a great response from so many of you because, you know, Jerry, there are a lot of people out there that apparently want to be healthy.
That's right. We're seeing that all over. Really are, Johnny.
Well, and we want everyone to know we appreciate your response. But Jerry has the best health program for the Shooting Show Health Club or health team that I can imagine. In fact, the best one I've ever seen.
That's right.
And remember, friends, 1-800-895-7916. If you don't feel better, they give you your money back.
That's right.
Well, Jerry, what you going to tell us today?
Well, Johnny, we're real excited as we're developing this thing of the health team, and what we want to do is people just to try the products. They're going to feel better. They're going to have more energy, and they can participate on several levels. They can be just a team member and use the products, and they're going to feel better. They may want to be a player, and they just go out and refer to their friends and contacts they bump into, and hey, I got something that will make you feel better, give you more energy, you'll be more productive, or we'll give you money back. Again, I want to remind you that these products are genuine. I have used them myself. I'm feeling better, 20, 30 years younger, more productive. If you get that after dinner lag, or you just run out of gas, you don't have the energy to do what you want to do, you really need to try these products. Try them. Call our 800 number. That's 895-7916, 1-800-895-7916. We will get back to you. Try the product, and if you want to be a serious player, then let us know that, and we'll show you how the distributorships are available and show you how to make some real serious money. I appreciate it very much.
Now, folks, for information on the Shooting Show Health Club, give us a call, 1-800-895-7916. Leave your name and address, phone number if you can, certainly. 1-800-895-7916. Trust me, this will help all of you. The Shooting Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Well, you know, Judge, speaking of deterring a tyrannical type individual, you know, this is not without historical precedent. Over and over and over. Let's go back in time from Alexander the Great to up through more recent times, Napoleon, through the first part of the 20th century, the first, Adolf Hitler, the communists in Russia. What they wanted was a totalitarian dictatorship. Mao Zedong, how many you want to talk about? Over and over and over again. Now, I don't know what, I guess all these socialists in Washington can do. They're in our educational system and some of our religious institutions and some other things. All they can do is rewrite history, because this is something that has gone on and on and on. And today you have Saddam Hussein, and who knows some of the things that have gone on in our own country. Well, we don't know what Bill Clinton's capable of. We have no idea. What you were talking about last week, which, by the way, we appreciate our correspondence. We've had quite a bit of correspondence this week about executive orders that are already in place. Now, wait just a doggone minute. These, like you had mentioned to us on last week's program, these things are there. All the president would have to do is declare national emergency and take total control of everything, from the power, the electricity in your wall socket, to your car in your driveway, to your money in your pocket or in your bank. Everything would come under control of the government if so deemed. And this is very disturbing.
Well, yes, Johnny, it is disturbing, and there's provisions in the anti-terrorism bill that are leading toward that, it seems to me. You know, John Kennedy expressed it accurately. He said that if a person is willing to give up his life, anybody can be assassinated. And that's true. There is no way to absolutely ensure against assassination.
Or a terrorist strike of some kind.
Or a terrorist strike of some kind.
Right.
Now, I'm convinced that the Oklahoma City bombing was not due just to a car bomb. That general's analysis of it was overwhelming as far as I'm concerned. I don't like it. I don't like what's happening. I don't like the possibilities that come from it. Incidentally, in Louisiana, the statewide concealed carry bill has now passed. It's sitting on Governor Edwards' desk to be signed or vetoed or just forgotten about. The NRA has put out a statewide alert, and they mailed out thousands of postcards. I got one today. You probably got one. And asking us to call the governor's office, to fax the governor's office, to be polite, to thank him for his previous support, and to ask that he sign this legislation. I have faxed him. I don't know if it'll do any good. We're told by some of his staffers that he's not going to veto it, he's not going to sign it, he's going to let it go into effect without his signature. That's acceptable. That's acceptable. I don't care how it happens. We've got other states that are going along on the whole thing. Incidentally, back on this subject of jackbooted thugs that former President Bush objected to so much. It's interesting that even an anti-gun senator like Joe Biden, Democrat of Delaware, had something to say about the NRA and militias. He said that the NRA puts out an ill-advised letter, and all of a sudden everybody in the NRA is a thug or a bum. The vast majority of NRA members in my state, that's Senator Biden talking, of NRA members in my state are honest, decent citizens. Well, congratulations, Senator Biden, you got it right. You got it right. I still say that, incidentally, there's a recent Supreme Court decision that says that the police have to knock before they enter.
Mhm.
This business of just storming a place is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and it ought to be. But that's what they did in Ruby Ridge in Idaho, and certainly that's what they did at Waco.
Yeah.
And when you put hundreds of agents, armed, black-suited, camouflaged, and storm a place, if that's not jackbooted thugs, I wish somebody would tell me what it is. I've been asking that now for 3 weeks and nobody's told me.
Well, I certainly could not put it better myself, Judge. You know, something that we certainly want to talk about on today's program. The judge and I lost a very good and very close friend. Kurt Vickers has been associate producer of this program for several years. A lot of you that had met us at shows in Las Vegas or at SHOT shows met Kurt and knew him. Of course, he did a number of different pieces. Kurt was a machine gun enthusiast, had a Class 3 license. And to lose such a close friend, and Judge, you know, I can't imagine anyone who better deserved the title of an officer and a gentleman. He was an intellectual person. In fact, right now, let's show a couple of clips of Kurt doing some of the things that he enjoyed doing most. Here are a couple of clips of him out at the in the desert at Soldier Fortune convention and being around people shooting and having a good time. Let's show that right now.
We're here at the 1994 Soldier of Fortune convention. We're talking with Chuck Boulding, who's one of the range officers. He's going to give us a little background on the match and also explain about this stage that we'll be photographing in just a few minutes. Chuck?
We're here at the 1994 Soldier of Fortune convention. One of the shotgun stages right now. We'll be following Colonel Bob Brown. Shoots one of the really enjoyable.
Well, of course, Johnny Curtis Vickers was a fine fellow. I didn't know him very well. I had met him at a couple of shows, and at the SHOT show, he was pretty busy. He'd walk around with you, collecting stuff for the shooting show. He was a dedicated individual. He was a physician. He had just sold his practice and was moving to Tennessee, I believe.
So he could do more things on the program. You know, we had a lot more pieces that he was going to be working on. Kurt had a fabulous gun collection, and you know, none of us understand why some of the finest, most decent people check out early and cross the river before some of the rest of us. But he will certainly be missed. He was absolutely one of the finest people I ever met. Those of you who communicated with the program on CompuServe, well, that was Kurt that you were talking to there, and he'll be greatly missed. Now, friends, let's go back to the Firearms Training Institute and visit with Harold Terry and Jim Coleman. Now, Harold, of course, we're down here on the firing range itself. Tell me why, now this is a silhouette target, why are we using this particular target?
Johnny, this is called a B-27 target economy. It's shorter than the B-27 NRA target, but we use it in our training. We have what we consider center of mass, and we found out since this target's been developed that the heart is up here. And that this is where we shoot at, the heart and the lungs.
Now what we're saying, this is a standard police training target.
Yes,
this is what police agencies all over the United States, probably worldwide for that matter, use, and there are scoring rings here. And no, this is not we have no intent to be gruesome, or yes, it's in the silhouette of a person, because when you're taught self-defensive training, well, who are you probably going to have to face? You're going to have to face an individual. I mean, it's a person. And this is serious stuff when we're training in defense of your life. So that's why, yes, in fact, it is a humanoid silhouette target, because you have to know where to hit your target. It's not as effective to hit your target up here as it would be, say, in the X ring or the 9 or the 8 or whatever else.
Mm-hmm. Johnny, this won't shoot back at you.
That's
a good point.
This is a safe target. No, it will not return shots. So
right. And we deal all with bald-headed men, so we don't have a problem here. All right. We found And we know that from the chest cavity on up is where our vital parts of our body are. Our heart, elongated, lays along the side of inside of our chest, and the lungs are on each side of it. They made this uniform so that each area is a designated width. And then in the X area, the reason that they developed the X, because there were so many people that shot a perfect score. Then we had to go into the X to divide who shot the most X's won the course. That's why we have an X ring in them. It got about 15, 20 years ago. Prior to that, or maybe 30 years, prior to that we just had a 10 ring. And then we just, as the training got better and the shooters got better, the equipment got better, civilians have had more to do with the improvement of handguns than the government ever thought. Mm-hmm. We have people that are experimenting every day with the shooting, and this is the target that we use. We have a designated area here, 12 feet, 21 feet, and 45 feet that we shoot from. Now, what we call the kill area is from point blank here all the way back to 20 feet, because we know that a person that is standing with a gun on his hip with the safety strap on, unfamiliar, that a man can run 21 feet, or a woman 21 feet, and strike him with a club before he can draw his gun and stop them.
Well, now, some people are more afraid of a gun up close than a knife, and that's not necessarily in an adversary's hands. More afraid, and a knife is just as dangerous, far more, or more so, than a gun. They may miss you with the gun, but if they get to you with a knife, they're probably going to cut you. Is that right?
Cut you badly. The handgun, or the knife, is as old as time.
Absolutely.
And they've just improved on it to the point that at 21 feet, if a person's dedicated, they will get to you, and you can give them a shot or two, and they can still, their momentum will carry.
Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923. Friends, to advertise on the Shootin' Show, you can call Bobby or Al at 1-800-728-8486. Again, that's 1-800-728-8486. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, it's great fun out shooting these semi-automatic guns, and especially if you have a bunch of loaded magazines. But what happens, a lot of us go out to the range, we'll have 1 or 2 magazines, and we'll spend a good bit of our time just loading the magazines so we can shoot our guns. Well, this C3 rapid loading system that we're working with now is one of the neatest ideas to come across that we've seen. And here's how it works. You insert the rounds into a clip, a little plastic clip. It's very simple. And then you will take the little black well-made heavy-duty plastic mechanism here, put over the top of the magazine, and then all you have to do is insert the loaded clip into the little mechanism here and sort of brace your magazine and simply just push down, and you've loaded 6 rounds. And you can literally load a 30-round magazine. And finally, friends, we have, of course, you have the empty plastic clip here and a loaded round or loaded magazine with 30 rounds. I'll tell you what, it's just, this is such a neat thing. Now fill up the Uniclip with your ammo, and each Uniclip holds 30 rounds and can be used over and over. You get 3 Uniclips with your rapid loader. You can load a 30-round magazine in about 3 seconds. The price of the C3 rapid loader is only $39.95 plus $4 shipping and handling, Visa or MasterCard accepted. To see if the C3 system will fit your gun, call Bobby or Al at 1-800-SAVE-YOU-GUN. That's our 800 number, 1-800-728-8486.
Now, the ammunition that you talk about quite often, I'm in accord with Corbin.
Corbin, yeah.
I know everything about it, and I believe everything about it because I shoot a lot of it myself, and I'm a firm believer that if I'm going somewhere, Corbin went with
It's going to go in your gun.
All right. But back to the target here, we use this, and we have found that by looking at the sights and as the people shoot, we can read the target and know what they're doing. If the shot's low, it means they're either breaking their wrist or they're not looking at the front sight, they're looking through the sights and looking at the target.
And I think something we ought to mention, we don't talk about, of course you talk about the kill zone, that would be most dangerous to the victim here. But we don't talk about, we never, in fact, you and I have been shooting together for many years, and we have been in many matches down here. And you know, one thing that I never hear, we never talk about killing people. You know, the only thing we talk about is stopping someone from doing what they're doing. We talk about stopping, slowing down, and we're not talking about, well, this will kill them better than this will. We don't know. That's not what we're talking about.
No one knows that, John.
No.
All we're doing is shooting at a person to make them go off and leave us alone.
Right, to cease and desist whatever they're doing.
That's right. We don't even talk about killing here.
No.
I just pointed that area out to you, but any place will basically stop a person unless they're on some type of a drug or whatever. But at this target and at these different distances we train with, would you like to see me shoot? You've never seen me shoot, I don't think.
Well,
one of the things I might mention, Johnny, is that Harold often says that this is a last resort. The use of the gun is a last resort.
That's right. It's not the first, Jim. We try to implant this in people. This is when everything else has failed.
when the police
haven't got there,
the police are not there.
And you can't do anything else but use what you have to defend your family and your own life.
Awfully good point. You know, when now with the people who are getting concealed carry laws, and in a lot of areas, I think quite a few states have concealed carry permits available. But you know, friends, if you're carrying a gun, you need to be more polite and more flexible. You know, if somebody walks up to you and calls you a bad name and calls your mother and your daddy and your family bad names, well, you can't take out your gun and shoot them.
Better not.
You know, you can get as mad as you want to. You might, you know, but especially if you're armed, then you really have to have a cooler head because if you do something rash, guess who's going to get nailed? It's going to be you, the gun. That's right.
Verbal abuse is no reason to shoot someone.
That's right. Sticks and stones can break our bones, but words, hey, forget it. Walk away. Do whatever.
And we don't even now I tell you this, Johnny. after a person leaves us from here, they're less likely, because they know about a gun. They're less likely to jerk that gun out because they know what they can do. They're satisfied with their conditions. They know what's happening because they're mentally aware of what's going on around them. There's 4 stages we talk about in mental conditioning, and they are ready for whatever situation that just pops up in front of them. And that keeps them from drawing that gun a lot quicker.
Now, you know, you have talked about there are 4 stages of response, or 4 stages of awareness. You want to tell us what those are?
I'd like to. The mental state number 1, as we call it, is a mental state of white. That means that you don't know what's going on. You're unconcerned. You're in the position there that you should be asleep. And the chances of you being robbed are 100% if you're in the mental state of white. And the mental state of yellow that we like to be in is caution, like the caution light is yellow. It means that when you get up in the morning that somebody would or could do you great bodily harm if you allow it. If you leave your keys in the car, your chances of a car being stolen are pretty good.
Pretty good.
If you lay your purse down and you walk off shopping at a grocery store, the chances are you allow that. And I know from my wife, I got to hold on to that purse and push cart whenever I'm following around the store. So what we do is we allow people to come into our lives and to evade our persons. Now, the mental state of orange means that we have a direct problem. If you're driving home in the evening and there's a car behind you and the lights are on or the lights are not on, and you see it, you turn to the right, they turn to the right, you turn to the left, they turn to the left, that means that they are following you for whatever reason. Don't go straight home. If you can go to a filling station or to a friend's house that's right in that area, go in, jump out of the car and go in and call the phone, give them a physical description of the car. Now, the person will probably drive on off, but if you let them follow you to your house, they will continue on. But they will come back later on. If there's no lights are on in the house, there's no one other car there, they know it's a possibility of you living alone there. And they will come back later on when that car is gone and possibly rob it if they don't hear a dog or whatever. Now, the last is a mental state of red. The mental state of red means that we have a problem, the person's in front of us, they have a gun, they're going to do us great bodily harm, and we're going to have to do whatever it takes in order to get out of that situation. If they're approaching you with, say, a machete, then you have a right, you're in your home and they're approaching you, you have a right to defend yourself. And that is the time that you use the gun, which we bring you up to that point, and we want you to know how to do it. Because the stress is there, and if you don't understand it, you've never been trained with it, you'll just go berserk, and you won't operate.
Maybe.
Like
Well, we've seen people that inexperienced drivers, when they're put into an accident situation, somebody their first deal is to slam on the brakes and freeze up. You know, and I think that you've seen that sometimes here on the range. You're not as worried as what they will do or what they won't do.
True.
Because under stressful situations, and this is another reason we so highly recommend some of the better shooting schools, as is Harold's and Jim, because you can get in a stressed situation. I remember being out here on the range years ago, and I'm walking, Harold says, well, go down here, we're going to shoot this target. Well, halfway down there, he starts yelling at me, and it's like, what in the world is happening? But that's important because that was induced stress, and you had to act. And you know, friends, you'll do what you train for. Am I correct?
That's right.
If you're not trained for it, hey, you won't do it.
That's right.
No chance.
Because you have to react to the action immediately, and knowing what to do and how to do it and when to do it and when to run, Johnny.
There's a time for strategic retreat.
Well, the Marine Corps, we call it strategic withdrawal.
Withdrawal.
Same thing, just verbs different.
Well, but Marines don't retreat; they withdraw.
Strategic
I
withdrawal.
understand this is strategic.
There's a time to get out. Hey, if somebody's going to steal my car, let them have it. I'm out of there. If they're going to take some property doesn't make any difference. If they break into my house and we're all in the safe room in the back, and I hear them pushing my TV out the door, fine with me. I can buy me another TV. But I can't protect my family if I'm out there and they're in the safe room and I'm out into the house. I suggest very strongly that you stay in a safe room in your house. Call 911. Get your kids in there. Call 911. Have all your equipment there, and then wait for the police and tell them what you look like.
Yeah,
Hey,
you know,
I'm
that's a
I'm
good
a
point.
fat old gray-headed man. Let them know who's there, who's calling. We got 4 little mean kids and 1 mad wife.
Well, that's an awfully good point. If you call 911, by all means, tell them who you are and what you look like.
That's right.
You know, if you're wearing striped pajamas, tell them.
That's right.
You know, if whatever it like, I like you're saying that whatever it takes, and I certainly agree. Well, heck, Harold, let's do a little shooting, and let's show the folks some of the different techniques. And in fact, here we're pretty close. Let's say, and let me put my hearing protectors in. Harold, we're up close to the target, and friends, I do want to say, you'll notice that we both have hearing protection. You can't see mine because it's inside my ears, but we're always going to come to the range, and I have to say this because I see people, they're out there shooting without the target practicing, without eye protection, without hearing protection. There's no use coming to the range and leaving with anything damaged, especially any part of your body, your vision, or your hearing. So I can't overstress that.
We furnish the earmuffs and the plastic goggles, Johnny.
Oh.
We can't make a person wear them, but we can certainly ask them very sternly to wear them while they're here.
For more information on the Firearms Training Institute, please call 318-861-7534 or 318-949-4322.
If you would like to advertise on the Shootin' Show, you can call us at 1-800-SAVE-YOUR-GUN. That's 1-800-728-8486. Our staff will be very happy to talk to you. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shootin' Show.